I'm Aaron Mesh, news editor of Willamette Week. I'm here with Sergio Olmos, a freelance journalist who has written for the Portland Tribune, whose videos can be found on Willamette Week. He's with Underscore, a wide variety of outlets in the city. Who am I missing, Sergio?
Yeah, I've written the Portland Tribune, the Columbian, stuff's in Crosscut. Yeah, different outlets. Reveal.
Great. This is your this is Wednesday. It's going to be your sixth night out in the streets covering protests.
Tonight will be the sixth night, yeah, of these large demonstrations.
And I'd say that it's fair to describe the videos you've taken as being some of the closest on the ground footage people have seen of what these protests are like when they get into confrontation with police. How do you end up at the front lines so often?
I appreciate that. You know, there are other journalists who are right there at the front, and if you see their work on Twitter, it's amazing. I start off in the middle. I sometimes am in the back if I get lost up tweeting stuff, but I like to be in the front because if they're up at the fence or something, and that's where you want to capture the moments that things escalate or they de-escalate. And so I think it's important to kind of get the pulse of the group, and if you're lucky and you're doing your job well and you're coordinating with other journalists, you can find places where maybe history happens, or there's flashpoints.
What flashpoints have stood out to you from the first 5 nights of protest that you've covered?
Well, I mean, like moments in general that stood out to me, like the Louis store, and right before that, the burning of the Justice Center. I think the burning of the Justice Center was a Rubicon. I mean, the moment that they started banging on the door, like someone started banging on the door, everyone kind of paused for like a millisecond, and then someone else banged on the door, and then you could see people step back. Like the vast majority of people kind of stood back, waiting police, response. And there was a little gulf of street between them and the kind of frontline people who started like kind of banging more and more. And you could just see journalists walk into that space and just go up to the front Justice Center. And when it was on fire, it was surreal. And I don't think if you had asked anybody, or asked a lot of people before that, hey, what do you think will happen in 10 minutes? I don't think many people would have told you that. Same thing with Louis Vuitton, which was only about 25 minutes later. I'm looking through timestamps on videos. 25 minutes later, we're inside the Lloyd, or is it the Pioneer Place, and they're going into Louis Vuitton. And again, if you had asked people, hey, where will you be in half an hour? I don't think many people would have told you, yeah, we'll be hitting up Capital One and breaking into Louis Vuitton. It was surreal. And I think a lot of people were just processing that in the crowd. A lot of people didn't know each other. It's not like there was a big organized group. People kind of came out there individually, and in between moments, in between flashpoints, people kind of are just processing things on their own.
Do you think that there was a moment where people kind of went, "Oh shit, what have I done?"
Yeah, well, look, in the surreal moment, there's like the adrenaline kick, and you can see people like you can see in the video that people are laughing in the Louis Vuitton store, bewilderment afterwards. There's a kind of sense of camaraderie if everybody gets tear gassed together. There's all kinds of like things that are complicated, and I think people were going through a wide range of emotions at these things. It's not the group is not acting as a monolith, and individuals are not having one or two easy to kind of place emotions.
Because they're wearing so much riot gear, do you ever have a sense of what emotions the police are going through in these confrontations? Do you get a sense?
I don't. As you said, I mean, they look more like a monolith, right? And they kind of act as a group. It'd be great to hear, what they're going through inside those inside all that gear and what they're thinking. But I haven't had the opportunity to interview them.
Well, let's talk about their behaviors. What have you seen from the cops in the last couple nights? It's gotten rough.
Yeah. So, each of the nights have had a different kind of tenor. And on Monday night, I think was the most kind of like peaceful, almost like a 1968 vibe. Just a lot of music, and there's cannabis, and just not any confrontation. Last night, some of the people argued that that kind of thing was counterproductive. That if you're going to risk the coronavirus, might as well make it worth it. and argued for more direct action against police. And so they went up to the fence, as you guys saw in videos, and police would kind of stand there. There'd be a standstill. If somebody threw a water bottle, if things escalate a little, the police would give warnings, and then they'd start throwing tear gas and flashbangs into the crowd. And last night in particular, felt like there was a lot more gas than any of the previous nights. Could have been because we were in between buildings. Could have been because they've just been chucking them. Maybe because the crowds are getting larger. Maybe because they're tired. I mean, we're all very tired.
The police chief this morning denied vehemently that police are using gas or flashbangs indiscriminately. That was the word that she objected to so strongly. Well, my obvious question for you as somebody who's on the front lines watching them chuck this stuff is, okay, if it's not indiscriminate, what are they throwing it at?
Yeah, that part I'm not understanding as well, because just last night when I was ready to take off, standing on the corner of Pioneer Square, there was a couple other protesters there, and it was just a small, like, couple other, and police van comes by and police just throw a tear gas at us, and then drive away. And there's lots of accounts of police driving through the street, and just chucking tear gas, chucking flashbangs, and driving away. That kind of thing happens after they've dispersed the crowd. Crowds are in clusters, little small groups all around the city. Police seem to get on their vehicles, drive through the city, and just chuck tear gas and flashbangs. I shouldn't say the city, downtown.
Is this your only job, or do you do anything else?
Like a lot of freelancers, I got a side hustle, man. I mean, it's I and during pre-pandemic times, I bartend on the side to make sure the rent gets paid. Right now, I got another job, and I got to go between the two, and it's I'd like to write full time, but like a lot of freelancers, I mean, we gotta have side jobs, and yeah.
How many hours of sleep you get in a night?
I got 4 tonight, which is great. Yesterday I had 2. Day before that, I think like 3. So, and like a lot of journalists, I mean, we're all, you as well. I mean, none of us are getting much sleep.
Well, on that note, hire Sergio Olmos.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.